So your topic sentences go right here at the beginning of the funnel. Does that make sense? And then this curly thing that I drew here, this is the flow of ideas. So at all times, your ideas are flowing one into another, but you're always connecting things. Another way to think about it is that, see the top of this funnel here and the bottom of the funnel that goes just before it? These also need to connect. So that's why this sentence right here, this is called a transition sentence. So the end of each paragraph should have a transition sentence, and then you want a topic sentence to introduce what you're going to talk about. And then you're becoming increasingly more specific as you expand on this topic sentence. In here you include statistics, evidence, citations, and notice I said citations and not quotations. Another thing that you should remember is that when you're doing academic writing, you should, when you're quoting a research paper, all I need is a citation. I don't need to see a 4-line quotation from the paper that you're citing. Just give me the point. Like, what are they saying? Are they saying that a prenatal pregnancy environment programs genetics for obesity? Well, just say that. Don't tell me too much, because remember, I want to get through your paper. Be kind to your reader. So just get to the point. So you're gonna have, so let's say you have topic sentence and you have 3 pieces of evidence. You're gonna introduce that as you get here, and then you're gonna lead it into a transition sentence and start all over again. Does that make things feel smoother? Okay, so here's what I want you to look at now. So this is the flow, we call this the flow of ideas in a paper. What I want you to think about now, I'm going to backtrack a little bit. Planning the paper. So what should that look like? How many of you are visual people? You're visual? Okay, so y'all might like this a lot. What I do is, I remember I had this paper to write on Joseph Conrad. I didn't write it before. But what I did was an idea tree. And in that idea tree, that made me very focused on planning almost every single sentence that I wrote in that very long paper. So here's what the concept is, and then I'll show you some other ways to draw it out. So the idea is, you're going to have, let's say, your introduction, and you can draw it out like this. So what is the topic? And write out your thesis statement. What is your thesis statement? What are you going to put in between here? Like, what makes it important? And now you have bullet points for your introduction. Then you can move to topic 1, 2, and so on. Except this time, you're going to have your topic sentence. I would say plan your transition sentence for now, so that you get in the habit of it. Think of yourself as in a court of law, and you have exhibit A, exhibit B, exhibit C. That's what these things represent. And you move down the line until you're done. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit about conclusions. Please, please, please do not write finally, comma, or in conclusion, comma, at the beginning of your conclusion, because I can see that you're concluding because there's nothing else after that paragraph. So there's no need to say that. I'm old school, so I was taught that actually makes your writing feel much better. So don't say that. Just get to the point and say, why is this? Reinforce, think of it as having a really important conversation, an elevator speech with someone, and you want them to walk away with, I need to think about that. I need to make some changes in policy about that. What are you going to say to make them have that impact upon them? Does that make sense? So that's what your conclusion should be. There are some rules about conclusions. That's what I'm going to write here. No new facts at all. Do not give me a new statistic. Don't give me a new thing or a new direction. Don't give me anything like that. If you have, for example, in our rubric, you were asked to talk about suggestions for future research. That's an acceptable way to end a paper. You don't have to put it in the conclusion, but suggestions moving forward, those are the kinds of things that you want to think about in the conclusion. Does that make sense? Yes? Okay, so this is for the fun part. And I enjoy doing this whenever I remember to do it. And it might help you a lot, especially if you like to draw and you like color. Because remember, your work is your own, and yes, you're under a deadline, but I'll tell you. I have this package of markers at home, and that makes working fun because I get to draw and I get to see color. So let's say you've done this, okay? One way of doing it is, okay, you have your central idea, right? For, in your instance, it was your health topic. Now you can either do little circles inside or other circles. Whatever moves you, because this is your planning process. But what this does for you, okay, so this is topic 1, 2, and maybe your conclusion would be a different shape. And you put the bullet points that you want to include in there. What this does is that it condenses all of this information into a single schematic diagram that you look at, and it forces you to stay very focused. Does that help? Yeah? And I promise you that if you do this, you're not going to get off track, because how can you? You practically planned every single sentence. And doing this means that you can connect the rubric at all times in your head to all of these pieces. Any thoughts? Carolina? It's okay. You can use whatever shapes you want. You can use bubbles, clouds, flowers, whatever. Whatever suits your fancy. But what do you all think of this? Do you think that you'll try it in the future? Yeah? Jacqueline?
This is what I already do already, and it just, when you're writing paper, you don't really want to write it, especially not before you're tired going to bed. If you have it all planned out, you're amazed how fast you just get through and you just stick to what you're pulling.
Absolutely. Because when you're tired, what happens? You either shut up or you talk more than you need to, right? And that makes your writing weaker. For those of you, how many of you are like electronic type people? Like you prefer paper, you prefer electronics as opposed to paper, Amanda. If that's you, my suggestion would be you do this anyway, but you can do this on a PowerPoint presentation. Remember, I'm going to connect it back to what I was talking about earlier. So each of these will now become, this will be slide 1, 2, 3, etc. until you're done. And then you're finished. So that when you write a paper, it will be concise, relevant, and to the point. Yeah?
I also feel like it would help if you have like length requirements for your paper, like if you have to 6 to 8 pages, then you can get like a rough idea of how many passes you need per thing.
And for those of you who tend to be long-winded, and your paragraphs tend to go on and on and on, this is going to stop you from doing that, because this is what's going to be in your paragraph, right? You have 1, 2, 3, or point 1, 2, 3, however you want to draw it out. But that will stop you from making your paragraphs too long, because you're not cluttering your paper with unnecessary words. Think of your papers and your paragraphs, I'll say, as a desk. Do you function well in a desk that's very cluttered? Has lots of crap all over it, and food and miscellaneous. No, right? That's chaotic. You feel a sense, at least I will, I feel a sense of frenzy thinking about just looking at this. Think about your paragraphs as that desk surface. You want your paragraph to be as clean and uncluttered as possible. So the only things that you look at, I'll give you an example, my desk, because I'm really picky about my desk. So my life could be in chaos, but my desk at all times